Am I the a-hole for not getting rid of my pets so my pregnant friend could stay with me? I, female 32, have 4 rescue pigeons that cannot be released because of health reasons, like can't fly. They're happy birds and have a good life. I live alone in an inherited house, and half of the top floor is converted into a big pigeon room where they have all their stuff. They're trained to potty in specific places, but can roam around the house except the kitchen. They have their sleep places in the big room and are locked there at night for their safety. My friend female 32 Chantel, though we're not really friends anymore. We were a long time ago. Now we just kind of know each other as our lives move down in totally opposite direction. Has currently 2 kids and is 5 months pregnant with her 3rd. Her partner was locked up a few months back, and she is about to be evicted because she hasn't paid rent in 12 months. One day out of the blue, she knocked on my door and started chatting. She told me everything and asked if it would be possible for me to let her move in and she'd pay rent. I refused, saying that I don't have the room for her and the kids. She told me I could get rid of my birds and they could take the room upstairs. I said that absolutely not, and unfortunately I won't be able to help her. She freaked out, told me I was a selfish a-hole, that I care about doing more for animals than humans, and a lot of other nasty things. I kicked her out. I rarely go on Facebook. I have my old one from uni, but I rarely go. And not even 24 hours after I kicked Chantel out, my other friend messaged me to log in to see what's happening, and Chantel was lagging me off everywhere, posting nasty things, and her friends joined her and it was so very nasty. I do feel bad though, and I wonder if they're right. Perhaps I am the a-hole here. Should I have let her stay with me? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She got kicked out for not paying rent for over a year and then told you she'd definitely pay you rent? Does that seem likely to you? You'd end up being trapped in your own home by someone who'd then claim, I have a newborn, you can't kick me out, and constantly find another reason to force you to let her occupy your home with her family while contributing nothing. That was what got me too. Entitled lady won't pay a dime. Not the a-hole OP. Exactly. And if all her friends are so happy to jump on board the trash OP train, why don't they put her up? OP's definitely not the a-hole and dodged a bullet. Who the heck knocks on someone's door and asks them to get rid of their pets so they can move in? Not the a-hole. Especially when it's someone you haven't really been in contact with for some time. So not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Chantel's situation is sad for her and especially her kids, but it is not your responsibility. Why can't one of the friends who joined her in slagging you off take her in? Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking when I read this. Let one of those friends of hers take her and her brood in. My best guess is that they won't, because they know they won't get rent money. Next story. Am I the a-hole for laughing in my friend's face because he said I'm financially abusing my boyfriend? My boyfriend, Matt, and I have been together for about 10 months now, and he moved in with me about 4 or 5 months ago. I own my flat, and I have a somewhat well-paying job. Matt just went back to school part-time while working a lower-paying job. He pays for half the food/utilities/dates. I like to travel a lot, but Matt can't really afford it, so I mostly go with my friends. But he came with us for a little winter holiday after Christmas. After we got back, one of my friends, David, who was with us too, came to me saying he wants to talk to me about Matt. David told me that he observed Matt during our vacation, and what I was doing to him really wasn't okay. He saw that Matt was struggling to pay for things, often checking if he had enough money. David eventually said that it's wrong of me to expect Matt to pay for half of everything since I make so much more than him, and a fair thing would be to divide things based on our income percentages. Like I pay for 70% of the things and Matt only pays 30% instead of 50-50. David told me that I'm not allowing Matt to save any money of his own, trapping him in our relationship, since Matt couldn't afford to live alone, and that's financially abusive. I just laughed at David's face. This is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. I didn't really try to refute anything he was saying because none of it made any sense. David got really offended, /angry/disappointed, or I don't know what. It was kind of hard to read, and he said he expected better of me. That he came to me with a genuine concern wanting to be helpful, and he didn't expect my immature reaction to it. It has been a couple days since this, and I still can't wrap my head around it. I'm thinking maybe I should apologize to David for laughing at him, as he really did look concerned. But what the heck was he even thinking about? Am I the a-hole? Edit. I did make one point to David after laughing, which was that Matt lives with me for free. I only ask for half the utilities, which is less than 50 euros a month. I, on the other hand, have a pretty big mortgage. To this, David said that Matt lived with his parents before without having to pay rent, so that's irrelevant, and I felt like there wasn't much more to be said. Info: whose idea was it to move in together after only dating 5 months? Both of ours. He lived with his parents and it was a bit too far away. Was he living there free? He chose to be in a situation where he would be struggling for money? He pretty much had the same arrangement he has with me. No rent, but contributed to the utilities and paid for his own food. What? You aren't married with him, so you're not liable to financially support him. He's not even paying rent. He's an adult that made a big boy decision to move out of his parents. Now, if he's paying more than he can afford, then accept that he can't afford this lifestyle and needs to move back home. The financial abuse accusation was beyond unreasonable, not a-hole. If someone accused me of financially mistreating my 10-month-old relationship boyfriend who lived in my house rent-free, I would laugh, purely from the confusion and ridiculousness of it all, which I'm assuming is what Opie did. The offense for laughing is way lighter than this incredibly out-of-pocket accusation. And this. To this, David said that Matt lived with his parents before without having to pay rent, so that's irrelevant. It's utter hogwash. Opie is not Matt's mother. If he couldn't save money living with his parents for free, it's not Opie's fault he's not saving money living with her for free. Not a-hole. Sounds like Matt gets to choose his discretionary spending after it pays his way in food, utilities, etc. Like the cost of living. You're not forcing him to travel with you or to do any of the other things that you do. You don't control his money or his accounts or his time. If he wasn't living with you, he'd probably be in a worse position. He's currently living rent-free. That's the sacrifice you make when you cut back hours to go back to study. Again, his decision. David is showing his entitlement and inserting himself where he has absolutely no right or relevance. He needs to get over himself. And in such a new relationship, I personally think it would be inappropriate for Opie to be subsidizing boyfriend's decision to study anyway. That would be a red flaggy on his side, expecting a partner of less than a year to support him through study. Next story. Am I the a-hole for shouting at my roommate's girlfriend? Quick backstory. Me and Danielle have been best friends ever since we moved into an apartment in our freshman year. But I've noticed he's afraid to speak up to his girlfriend. My roommate Danielle's girlfriend, Sarah, recently moved in with us. Although I agreed to it as long as she contributed to the apartment, she hasn't done anything to help out. She doesn't offer to cook, clean, or do the laundry. One day when Sarah had no work, I asked her to do the laundry and wash the dishes before I went to pick up dinner, and she said no. When I asked her why, she said I hadn't told her to do it. Danielle was present and said the issue was between Sarah and me, but I let it go. I bust my butt at work, and all I want are 2 things to be done. That's all. She is completely lazy and doesn't do any work for the apartment. It's always me and Danielle. I approached Danielle to tell him and he said to me, "It's not a big deal. Let it go." I told him that she's living here for free. She doesn't pay for any expenses, and the least she can do is do some laundry once in a while and help around the house. This recent incident really ticked me off. The day I was going to work, I woke up at 6 a.m. fully energized. I made myself dinner for that night and left it in the fridge. Out of nowhere, I heard Sarah say, "I'm going to the grocery store. Do you need anything?" Internally, I was happy, thinking that she had finally changed as a person and realized what she was doing was wrong. I said, "Yeah, I really need shampoo for tonight. We have none left." She said, "Yeah, can I please have some money?" I gave her $20 and went about my day, and she said she would give me the change later that night. I was happy for the entire day. But then when I got home, I saw her watching TV all alone as Danielle had to work late. I quickly took off my clothes and headed to the shower. I realized there was no shampoo. I called for Sarah and asked her, "Where's the shampoo?" I noticed her nails were not painted when I left, but when I came back they were red. I checked the receipt that I found in the trash and saw that she had bought nail polish and some other stuff. I asked her why, and she simply said, "I forgot. Sorry." You know what? I let it go. After showering with watered-down shampoo, I opened the fridge to see that my meal was half-eaten. Sarah said she ate half my food because it was a lot. I lost my cool completely after. I told her, "You're living here for free. You eat for free. You don't do anything for this apartment. You don't clean, you don't cook, you don't do laundry. You leave dirty clothes on the floor everywhere. And you don't buy groceries. What can you do?" This has been happening for 2 months straight. I'm sorry, but I just can't take it anymore. I bust my butt waking up at 6 a.m. to make dinner, just to realize it's half eaten. What's the point? Afterwards, Sarah and I exchanged some pretty nasty words. It didn't end well, and I don't know what to do anymore. Now for the comments. So not the a-hole. Seriously, you need to have a house meeting. You need to let Daniel and Sarah know that if things don't change, you can't see yourself living there much longer. This is only going to get worse before it gets better. If something isn't said/done now. Info, you gave her $20 to buy shampoo. She didn't buy shampoo. Did you get your $20 back? Because if you didn't, she just stole your $20 for herself. But also, she shouldn't be doing his laundry. She should be doing her own laundry, but roommates shouldn't be expected to do each other's laundry. That's way over the top in my opinion, and not reasonable. She lives rent-free. That is part of the payment for a roof over the head. Sounds like you need to tell her to leave. If she's not on the lease, it should be easy. And since Daniel is not doing anything to help the situation, I would let your apartment management know your roommate has been letting someone stay with you for 2 months. Since most apartments have policies that you cannot have long-term tenants stay without being added to a lease. Absolutely not the a-hole. First, she should not have come to stay there for free. That was the first issue. But it's kind of between her and her boyfriend how they split the rent. Second, if you and Dan are sharing chores, they needed to be rescheduled. If not, Dan picks up all sort of chores. Third and not least, eating someone's food, no matter how you're related to them, is always a huge a-hole move. I will definitely talk with Daniel to rearrange the house rules. If he and her refuse, then it's you or them out. Depends in which name is the lease. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take my sister-in-law on a romantic getaway? My female 28 have been friends with Brittany, female 28, since we were about 5 or 6, and we are very close to this day. As part of having a friendship with me, she was around my brother, who would be 30, quite a lot as children, and their romance blossomed as teenagers. They were married 5 years ago. Unfortunately, my brother passed 2 years ago in a tragic accident and left behind a mountain of debt for Brittany. She was 8 months pregnant at the time, and ended up moving in with my parents. Her and her daughter, Lilac, 2 female, live with my parents to this day, and the family alternate watching Lilac so Brittany can get her degree. Everyone has really rallied around Brittany in such a trying time. For Christmas, my husband, male 30, bought an all-exclusive trip for him and I to explore Paris and have a romantic getaway. I've always had friends on my wish list, and I'm so grateful to him for such a wonderful gift. We leave in February for 2 weeks, and it is honestly a dream come true. I told my parents about the gift, and they then told Brittany, who called me in floods of tears asking that I take her instead of my husband. She said that she will never be able to experience a romantic getaway like that with her own husband, and that we, my husband and I, could just go again at another time. She said she gave up everything to raise Lilac, and she would love for us to have a girls' trip like we did when we were younger. I told Brittany that that was not possible. This was a gift from my husband to me, and I fully expected to have a romantic getaway with him. Brittany told me that I was punishing her for being a widow, and that it was unfair I would have a love affair in Paris, while she cried at my brother's grave. My husband thinks she's trying to make me feel guilty, but said he would step out of the trip if I would like to take Brittany. The thing is that I want to go with my husband, but my parents have since called to tell me that they would watch Lilac and that I should not rub my happy marriage in Brittany's face. My mom told me I would be selfish to leave a grieving widow over Valentine's Day. Am I being an a-hole? Not the a-hole. That's such an unreasonable request, and frankly, if that's the way she feels, she should be going for therapy. You're not throwing your marriage in her face. You're celebrating your marriage between you and your husband. Moreover, your parents are the ones who told Brittany about the trip, not you. So how can they say you are rubbing it in her face? Take a weekend with her to the spa if you want to, but do not compromise about your Christmas gift. And to be honest, the fact she said you are punishing her for being a widow by going to Paris with her husband makes me think she is highly manipulative and/or she needs therapy rather than a trip. So perhaps you and your parents could pay for a therapy if you can afford it. OMG, what is wrong with the people around you? If you and your husband were just dating now and he gave you a ring and proposed to you, would she expect to be the one he married? Because after all, she doesn't have a husband anymore. I understand how difficult it has been for her. It's a very sad story. But you guys are doing all you can to help her. I can't even believe she would ask you to do that. I think she's wallowing in self-pity a little too much, or maybe she's just not thinking clearly. But it was a ridiculous request, and there's no way in hell you should honor it. Your parents should also know better. I don't understand what they're thinking. A trip to Paris is not cheap. It's not like you're going to the local beach and you can afford to go there next year too. It was a gift from your husband to you. Go with your husband and tell the rest of them that you should try to save for another trip, and then you and her can go together maybe next year. Yes, she lost her husband, but you lost your brother. I'm sure you could use a little happiness in your life as well. Go to Paris. Do not feel guilty. Enjoy the heck out of yourselves. The rest of them will get over it. If not, they're not very good friends/family. I had a similar thought. What the heck is wrong with these people? It's like the post about the girl whose family had a go at her because her girlfriend gave her a cake on her birthday and posted a picture on Insta saying happy birthday just because her birthday was the day her nephew passed away. Why do some people think everyone else should stop celebrating because they lost someone? And I do mean after the grieving period.